Are you currently looking at the SAAB new generation 9.3? Do you want to know what to consider before buying it? Well, then you need to stick around. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So if you're new to this channel, my name is Marcus and this is SAAB Cars. Here at SAAB Cars we enjoy adding features, doing reviews, diagnosing and going to SAAB meetings. In today's video we're going to take a look at the new generation 9.3, what to consider before buying that cool engine 9.3 that you have had your eyes on for a very long time. The new generation 9.3 was released in the second half of 2002 as model year 2003. It came in different flavors, the linear, arc, vector and aero. So the linear being the most basic one. The arc usually had wood trim and leather seats, and you could actually choose more packages for the arc. Then you had the vector, of course, which is a more sporty version with the seats with better side bolstering, usually leather and textile. It also came with a sport chassis, being a bit lower to the ground, so you get that sporty feeling. And then you had the aero, of course. The aero had all the things that the vector had. It came with the bigger engine. We're going to talk about the engines later on. So let's talk about the exterior. So the model year 03 to 07, it had a different exterior than this 2008. It had a different hood, lights, grille, front bumper, rear bumper, doors and so on. And the year between 03 and 06 had a different interior as well. And we're going to take a look at the interior later on. And regarding the exterior, let's talk a bit about rust. So the usual problem with the rust on these models is the wheel arches in the front and in the rear. You also can see some problems with the placement where you have the strut mounts. On the older models, somewhere between 03 and 06, they rust heavily. So you need to check out the mounts where you mount the in the chassis where you mount the strut mounts. So strut mounts and wheel arches all around, do pay attention to that when you go look for a new generation 9.3. So let's talk about the interior. Between model year 03 and 06 you had the SAAB information display up here. You also had a climate control with loads of buttons, and they actually changed that in 2007. So then they released a more user-friendly climate control with knobs instead of buttons. They also moved the SAAB information display from up here to the instrument cluster. Personally, I enjoy having it here instead. It's a matter of taste. They also did minor updates regarding the interior with some small bits and pieces, nothing really big. Model year 2007, it has the old exterior appearance and the new interior. So that's kind of special if you both like the old exterior and the new interior. That's probably the model year you should take a look at. Besides that, you have different options regarding the seats, colors, door panels and so on. And you could actually choose premium leather seats. And that is, or it was, an expensive alternative. Probably the reason why you don't find it in many vehicles. But the premium leather seats, it's very resistant to wear, I think. It smells extremely good if you're into that. And it has a very nice look and feel. One thing to consider when using a child seat in the rear with the back facing this seat is that no one can't really travel in this seat anymore because you need to move it forward a lot, almost the entire way. So that is something that you need to consider if you have child seats with the back facing this seat. Instead you need to look at the old generation 9.5 or the new generation 9.5 because they are bigger cars. So the trunk space in the new generation 9.3 wagon is quite okay. Some net pockets. You have a cover here to cover the bumper when loading stuff. You can fold down the seats and there's actually a ski hatch as well, so you can travel 4 people with your skis and stuff. So let's talk about the engines for a bit. So back in 2002, when the new generation 9.3 was launched, you could choose from a 1.8i, which has no turbo and a timing belt. And then you could choose 1.8 with a small t and 2.0 with a small t, and a 2.0 with a big T, and that's the Aero model. So the 1.8 and the 2.0, they have the same cylinder volume. It's just different software. So 150 brake horsepower or 175. You could basically upgrade the 1.8T with a new software and get much more brake horsepower out of the engine. Then in 2006 they released the V6 turbo that you see here in the Turbo X. I think it had 250 brake horsepower or something. It's usually the limit for a front-wheel drive car. And in 2007 they also released a biopower model program for the new generation 9.3 so that you could run it on ethanol. In 2008 they released the Turbo X and also released cross-wheel drive with this engine. So the Turbo X came with cross-wheel drive, a electronically limited slip differential in the rear, and it had 280 horsepower and 400 Newton meters of torque. So that's probably the most powerful Saab that left the factory. If you're looking for a Saab with low fuel consumption or a high mileage, this is not the one to pick. You could choose diesel variants. They actually came out with a 1.9 TID and a 1.9 TTID. So the TTID, it has 2 turbos and it's very strong and efficient. So I suggest you look for a TTID if you plan on doing long trips. The V6 turbo, I can't recommend doing traffic in town with that because the gas mileage is just terrible. But it's a very fun car to drive. The engine is really nice. It has a great characteristics. In the second half of 2011, they released the Griffin model of the new generation 9.3. And that could be optioned with a 2-liter turbo, and that's basically the same 2-liter turbo that you see in the new generation 9.5. The Griffin also had different front bumper, different bezels around the fog lights and so on, and that's basically the difference, and it had some interior bits and pieces as well. Automatic or manual, that's a matter of taste. Cross-wheel drive or not, it's also a matter of taste. If you have much power in the engine, it could be beneficial to have cross-wheel drive. Also, if you plan on using the car during winter time, having cross-wheel drive is a great thing. You can also, or you could choose the ELSD option or not. Basically, that means that it can transfer torque between the rear wheels. That could be beneficial during winter as well and during track days. So let's talk about the electronics in the new generation 9.3. In 03 to 06 they implemented a fiber optic system connecting the amplifiers for the stereo. And that makes it a bit of more hassle when you want to upgrade the stereo because you need to bypass the fiber optics and so on. And you may end up losing sounds as the blinking sounds. When they changed the interior in 07, they also removed the fiber optic bus, going back to traditional copper wires. And that makes it more easy to upgrade the stereo if you're into that. If you're not, then it's not a problem having the fiber optic system, I think. You also often get an issue with the column integrated module here, and it's called SIM module. So if you Google the SIM module, you find a lot of people having issues. And it's the electronics inside that gives up. So you need to either repair it with a repair kit, and that can be done. Or you need to just buy a used SIM that you know works. And make sure you get at least one key to the SIM, because you need that, otherwise you can't start the car. So if you get one key, that's fine, and you can actually buy another key and check out my video that I did with adding a new key with the Tech2 instrument. So that's the most common failure regarding the electronics. Also the amplifier under the seat for the 03 to 06, it's a common problem because it's located under the seat. You may end up getting water in there and so on, and it starts to rust, and finally, it fails. So you can't hear the sounds like the blinking sounds and so on. I hope you enjoyed today's video and that I didn't scare you away with all these facts. Good luck purchasing your Saab New Generation 9.3. Since it's Christmas time, I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I'll see you in 2020. Drive safe, take care, party on, stay fresh guys. See ya.